Hello, everyone. So I'm back today, and my camera's bad. Okay, I'm joined by Kate Edmonds, and she is the star in Haunted Henry and also Founder's Day, which was an amazing movie. How are you
Thanks.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you could make time today to kind of chat a little bit. Um, so I do want to start with Founder's Day. The
Totally.
reason I want to start with it is because I think it'll give everyone a little bit of perspective into your career. So what was the kind of like how did that kind of come about? How did your role in that kind of come about?
So I read for Founders Day when it was like an untitled autumn murder mystery. I knew nothing about it. There was no script. I had like two tiny scenes. I actually, in the beginning, I read for my character, Brittany, and I also read for Lily, one of the main characters in the movie. And I had so much fun with Brittany. I like had like clothing changes and I gave a bunch of different reads for it. Um, and like Lily was whatever, I did that, but I was like, I really felt drawn to Brittany. So, or Brit is what she goes by in the movie mostly. But it was so fun. And I just like did the audition. I forgot about it. And I actually got a call. I was on set for Harlan Coben's Shelter on Amazon when my manager called me and I was in New York and she was like, "Well, I know you're about to leave New York, but you're gonna turn right back around and come back because they want you for the untitled auto murder mystery." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's that's amazing. What role?" And she was like, "I think it's the Brit role." And I was like, "Oh, perfect, yes." And I remember my first conversation with director Eric Bloomquist. He was like, "I I could tell you're just like a smart actor." He called me. He probably doesn't even remember saying that. Um, but he was like, I just like loved seeing your take on her and I just had so much fun. So I didn't even do a callback. I booked straight from tape on that. And it was super fun. I really just like kind of got to play. I remember talking to Eric about her and I was like, she's so funny. Like I just want to be like stupid and like just like a nice comedic break. There's so many people in that movie that are so hilarious, but I just loved like Britt and Tyler's relationship and like how stupid they are. So that was really fun. Dylan and I, who played Tyler, had so much fun creating those characters.
So how much of a shock was it? Because I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was probably your biggest role up until that point, or one of them.
One of them for sure, probably. I mean, I think that I was fresh off of the Amazon show Harlan Coben's Shelter, which I was a recurring character in that. And that was definitely the biggest set that I'd ever been on. Like they had this huge budget. It was an Amazon original show. But I think the scope of Founders Day was one of the biggest I'd been a part of. I never had a movie that had come out in theaters. We got a nationwide theatrical release, which was amazing. So it was really fun to be able to have like my friends and family all over the country be able to see that in theaters. So that was really awesome.
And what was, I guess, and this is kind of jumping backwards a little bit, but what made you want to act?
I my older sister, she's 5 years older than I am. She grew up doing musical theater, and I was like, this is amazing. I want to do that too. So I would kind of follow her and be in shows that she was in and do these musicals. And I was never very good at singing and dancing, not my strong suit. And I was like, wow, I wish there was something I could do that I didn't have to sing and dance in, that I could still perform. So I started doing like drama and straight plays. And then I met my acting coach at the time, Meg Dusner. She's here in Birmingham and she does film and television. And I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. And she kind of guided me. That's how I got my first agent. That's how I got to where I am now.
And then kind of going forward, how did you land with Haunted Henry? Like, what was that like? Because it's a very unusual, not only is it an unusual like pilot, but it's just an unusual way of releasing it.
Totally. So Haunted Henry, it honestly fell into my lap. So I did a short film that I think it was released like on Vimeo. And we did like a small kind of like celebration at this indie theater in Birmingham. of short films, like a bunch of shorts played one night. And the director, Max Tatum, had a trailer for a feature he did that played that night. And I saw, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to talk to this guy because it was amazing. It was the trailer for The Pink Snake Pit, which is on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. But it's insane. And I was like, this is so incredibly well done. I mean, this guy's like, he's 22, he's like a kid. And I was like, I have to talk to this guy. I need to know him. So afterward, I came up to him and I probably terrified him. I was like, I want to work with you. This is amazing. Your stuff is amazing. We have to do something. And he was like, okay, all right, sounds good. And we followed each other on Instagram. And then I want to say like a month later, I got a DM from him and he was like, hey, I'm working on this pilot. It's like fully cast, everything. He'd cast somebody else for my role and it ended up falling through. And he was like, I remember you from the short and I want to know if you play this role. And I was like, sure, perfect. Will Dusner, who plays Henry in Haunted Henry, is one of my best friends in Birmingham. We actually lived together for 6 months. So we always tell people that we were not acting at all. That is literally how we act towards each other in real life. We're like really, truly brother and sister in real life. So that was so fun. And we had a rehearsal in the beginning where Max was like, I want to make sure, because everything's already casted, that we've already had rehearsals and stuff. I want to like do like a rehearsal with you two to make sure that the vibes are right. And we did it. We like read through and kind of moved through some of the scenes. And Max was like, I'm just kidding. We don't need to rehearse anything. This is perfect. You guys have exactly what I was going for. So everything really just kind of fell into place, but it was super fun because it's every single person that worked on it, from the cast to the crew, um, is local Birmingham people. And that was something that was super important to me because this is where I was born and raised. This is where, when I'm not working on something and traveling, like I live here. We have such like a like lively film scene here, and there's so much talent here, that it was amazing to be able to work on that with truly local creatives. So that was the most exciting part. I wish that Max was here. He could talk more about his choice to release it on YouTube. But like he knows a lot of people that have shows a lot of places, and he was talking to one of his friends that works with Adult Swim, and they were like, you need to just put it out there. Like a lot of shows, that's how they get started.
Yeah.
Is just like put them on YouTube. I know that like Broad City, that's how it started. They were on YouTube and they had like a whole season until they got signed. So that was kind of his thought. He was like, I'd rather like put it out there in the world for people to have it and see it and enjoy it and interact with it than just like keeping it and hoping something happens one day.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, and I know you don't really know the technical, like the reasons behind it necessarily, but
Right.
I think it is an interesting thing because it is such an unusual show. And I think there's a lot of like sameness, copycat stuff.
Hmm.
It's so refreshing to see something like this where you're just like, I was watching it, and I'll be honest with you, okay, I watched it like 2 in the morning. So it's not, as it is, it's kind of like whatever. And then I'm
Yeah.
watching this, I'm like, am I just going crazy? Or is this like, it's just it's a weird show,
Yeah. I
episode.
think
And
2 in the morning is like the perfect time to watch it, actually. It was so funny, like when we first released it, me and Max were like texting all the time about it. And every night our views would go up so much. And then every day it would like kind of drop off, which is like, I guess people watch YouTube videos at night, but I was like, this is a nighttime show. This is like an Adult Swim, like midnight show that you kind of start to be like, is this real? What's happening? And I think that's what's so fun about it.
and so if it did, like, would you continue, like, would you do more of it?
Oh, absolutely. I would 100% do more of it. Max has told me he's very like protective of the stuff. I have no idea what else is going to happen, but he has like 3 seasons, I think, written out, like planned. I think he has
Wow.
maybe scripts for a full season. He hasn't let me read any of them yet, but I think I'll crack him soon. But I love Penelope. I think she's super fun, and I would love to play her more.
So how was it hard to get into that role? Because obviously you don't know, and I don't want to say anything to spoil, even though this is the beginning. So,
Mhm.
but like you don't really know what her situation is until like 10 minutes in, like, or 5 minutes in.
Totally. Max, even though he is like, he doesn't tell people a lot of things, he did tell me more about her and like what her situation is because I was like, I have so many questions. So I do know a little bit more. Obviously, I won't tell you.
It's okay.
But that was really good to learn of like I had some backstory. But it also felt hard going into it because as I said, he had somebody else cast for it. They had already worked with the whole cast and crew. That I felt like I was like an imposter stepping into this. Like this role was for somebody else, and I told Max I was like, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna like step into this and bring whatever I can, but like it may not be what you expected. It might be a little different than you had originally planned. This is gonna be me. This is gonna be my take on the character. And he was like, "Yeah, I trust you. Let's go for it." So it was hard. It was definitely an internal struggle for me to like wrap my head around this character that was like, she's not me. I have to find and make her, and I still feel like we just got like very surface level Penelope in the first episode that I'm like, there's so much more.
One, I think and hopefully, because again, it was great. Hopefully it continues. And if it does, hopefully you get to kind of make the character more your own, right? Because as things kind of happen, you'll be able to take some of it and, make it even more of your own. But I mean, again, it was like, I didn't know what to expect because you sent me the link and I'm like, okay, I'll watch this. And
All
I'm
right.
like, and I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, great. That's what we aim for. Pleasantly surprising people.
Like, people send me YouTube link and I'm like, okay,
Here we go.
let's see what is gonna happen. But no, it was great. And honestly, and I'll link it so everyone can go watch it because I think we need to let people watch, we need people to watch it so you can make more because
Absolutely.
it is amazing. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, so when you're not filming and you're not auditioning, what do you do? Do you watch movies and TV, or do you kind of get away from it? Because I know there's different approaches depending on who you are.
Totally. I love to watch movies and television. I feel like I'm definitely more of a movie person. If I'm watching TV, I love like documentaries and um, a little bit of like trash reality show just to like turn your brain off. But like when I'm not acting, I'm an acting coach. I coach children, so I've kind of like surrounded myself by acting and scripts and thinking about stuff like that. I mean, it's my favorite thing to do.
What's your favorite movie?
Um, I really love Parasite.
Okay.
I love Girl Interrupted, The Virgin Suicides. I'm all over the place.
I don't know. There seems to be a very clear through line between those three movies. I don't know.
Really?
A
I,
little bit.
okay, I'll take it.
So when you watch things, and I'm always interested about this from from the perspective of someone who acts, right? It's like when you watch something, do you just look and say, I could do that better. I could be there.
No, unless it's something like if I'm watching like a Lifetime movie, then that probably creeps in a little bit of like, oh, I could have done that. But I mean, no, usually the performances are so amazing that I like when I'm watching Girl Interrupted, like every single woman in that movie, I'm like, oh God, I would love to do something like that. I don't think I could do it better, but I would love to just like bite into something like that. Where like yeah, I never think I could do it better, but like I crave to
You
do
would want to
something.
do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting because I always feel like, and I know people are too humble to say this, but I feel like the actors, and just they sit back and they watch and they're like, I could have done that better. I should be in there. I should be there right now. Like I, I mean, you're all generally speaking remarkably talented, so it's I can you
Yeah.
have grounds to say that.
I will say my boyfriend and I, if we watch something together, he will say that. He'll be like, "Oh, you could have done that better," and I'll be like, "Thank you."
So maybe you're just being too humble. You got
Maybe
to be a
that's it.
little you got to be a little bit more. Yeah. So so if you could kind of choose what you did, like you could kind of, I guess, write your own movie
Hmm.
for yourself,
Mm.
what would it be about?
Oh, this is funny because I actually, um, after we shot Henry, I was like kind of complaining to Max, and I was like, I feel like I have played a lot of like the same kind of roles, and I was looking at my reel and like editing that stuff together, and I was like, I don't have any like really like deep emotional work. I was like, I want to cry on camera. I never get to, nobody lets me cry. Britt doesn't cry. She gets a little scared, but there's no crying. So Max was like, "Ah, great! I have this short. It's perfect." And we ended up making it. It's not out yet. He's still has it in post. But that was kind of like what I like. Kind of we worked together to make it like my dream role, whatever, of just like, I don't know, something deep where I get to be, I want to carry the story and like, I want it to be like a character study and somebody who goes through something and because like it's so fun to play like the mean character that like jumps around and makes out with her boyfriend and runs away, but like I really wanted something where I get to like show who I am as an actor. So that was so fun. I'm really excited. He hasn't let me see any of it, so I'm actually terrified.
So you can cry on command.
I can, I can. It's not like I couldn't sit here and cry right now, but if I like sit there and travel through that and feel what it feels like in my body and put myself in that place, I can. Yeah.
So do you have to think of something sad, or is it like, how is that process for you?
It kind of depends. Sometimes it's situational, like if I'm doing a scene and like I just it connects, I feel something in my body, like it can move me and I can cry that way. Sometimes it's I have to find something in my life that like relates to what the character is going through. Sometimes it's literally just let's put tear stick in the eyes and go for it. I've definitely had auditions and stuff where I've had to cry and I'm like, this makes no sense to me. I can't relate to this. You've got to fake it till you make it.
I guess so. And now if you could kind of pitch to someone watching who, may have the ability to turn it into a TV show, like a full-on series,
Hmm.
Haunted Henry, how would you do it? What would your pitch be?
Um, I would say, I would say Haunted Henry is about a teenage orphan who is isolated from this rural community due to some false accusations surrounding his stepsister's death. He journeys through some foster families as he deals with a mysterious ability to attract the supernatural. It's honestly like nothing that you've ever seen before. You may recognize some like Easter egg kind of things. I like to think of it as, but it's truly its own experience, and you have to see it to believe it. So I think that's my elevator pitch.
Okay. I hopefully again, I'll link it ever so people can actually go watch it. It's remarkable. I would say honestly wait till it's like the middle of the night and then go watch it.
Exactly.
Because I think I agree with you. I think that's kind of the vibe of the show, is you're just
Mhm.
scrolling through channels at 2 o'clock and just this pops up and you're just like, cool, you
Here
know?
we go.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to talk to you.
Of
And
course.
do you want to tell people where they can find you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Kate Edmonds. You can look us up on YouTube, Haunted Henry Pilot, I think I think it's called. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
And we'll have to do this again when it's made into a full series or when
Of
you have another
course,
project coming out.
I'd love to.
Perfect. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Of course. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.